Good evening. Jihad El Jihad, aka Red. This is the conclusion to the chapter entitled Stand Up Guy Part 2, Sheila. Should you so care to, you can view the other chapters as well as part 1 of this chapter on YouTube, entitled The Autobiography of a Detroit Hustler. So here we go. The conclusion to the Stand-Up Guy, Part 2, Sheila. They say that when a person is staring death in the face, your life flashes before your eyes. Well, believe it. I thought about my kids, my dad. I thought, well, at least I'm going to get to see my mother again. I was thinking, where's my gun? Maybe I can get at least that last round off before they kill me. I was thinking, damn, I hope this shit don't hurt too bad for too long. Then it dawned on me, what the fuck is taking them so long? But I hear a voice in the background. The police are coming. I'm telling you, the police are coming. Aaron appears from literally, at least to me, out of nowhere and says, come on, man, keep going. By now, I'm in the street, crawling across Glendale towards the alley. There's an old gas station on the corner of Glendale and Livernois, and I'm crawling up the alley behind it. My knees and elbows are on fire. The shock is wearing off, and I'm starting to feel the pain. I'm exhausted. I'm too tired to even look behind me and see where all these voices that I'm hearing are coming from. Again, I think, what the fuck is taking them so long? I guess my life flashing before my eyes is going to have to make an instant replay. I crawl to the side of the gas station between the station and the fence. Aaron throws a piece of awning over me to cover my legs or hide them. I don't know which one. I ask him, where's the gun? He says he doesn't know either. I say, give me something. He hands me a brick. Wow. Laying there now, I see what's been happening behind me all the time I was making my high-speed crawling getaway. Livernois at 6 a.m. on a Sunday morning was relatively empty and quiet. Apparently, a cab driver was cruising from Davidson at the same time I jumped from the window and stopped to see what the fuck was happening. Seeing me crawling away, and the people coming out of the building with guns, he called his dispatch and reported it. And the dispatch then reported it to 911. Mind you, the 10th precinct is only 3 blocks away. He was the person I was hearing to continually saying, the police are on the way. Even still, they stayed behind me as I crawled, and Aaron stayed beside me or in front of me, encouraging me to keep going. So I'm laying here now on my back with 2 broken legs, 2 broken discs in my back, a broken wrist, and a partially separated shoulder, with 6 guys standing there staring at me with their mouths open, 2 of which I can plainly see have guns, and the cab driver with a brick in my hand, and I'm in excruciating pain by now. Tears of pain and frustration and fear are clouding my vision. Are they going to go ahead and shoot? What the fuck is taking them so long? Why don't they hurry up? That was the fear. I wish I had a gun. Maybe I could at least get up and get 1 round off or fight. That was the frustration. The tears of pain are self-explanatory. We hear police sirens coming and the guys disappear. Aaron leaves beside me to go get my aunt. At this point, now, I'm about to leave you to your own conclusion. I've often wondered through the years, did Aaron stick with me while I was crawling before the police came because he was so true blue and loyal that he was willing to die with me? Or was it safer to stay with me because of the cab driver warning of the police coming? A warning that plainly deterred them from doing what they evidently came there to do, which was to kill me. Police and EMS finally show up, and after twisting and turning my leg like a rubber band to determine which way was straight, they put it in an air splint and rushed me to the old receiving hospital downtown Detroit, where my left ankle and my right knee were surgically repaired. Here I was, bandaged up and with Cash looking more like the mummy than Reggie did, and I was there for the next 30 days. These were the events that led to my having Sheila introduced into my life, so now I can put it all together for you. I was eventually sent to a nursing home, Petoskey Hall, right in my neighborhood on the corner of Petoskey and Burlingame. You can imagine a 25-year-old black male in a nursing home full of elderly and senior citizen white people. And being right in the neighborhood, there was a steady procession of visitors, and a whole lot of them came with presents, drugs, well, for my pain, of course. As I mentioned in part one, at this time Janice was incarcerated in the federal facility in Lexington, Kentucky. When she would write me, she would tell me about her 3 female partners she had hooked up with that were from Detroit and how tight they were. These 3 girls were Janetta, Foxy, and Sheila. Janice was due to come home on a furlough while I was in Petoskey Hall. She hadn't seen me since before I had gone to prison, and after I went to prison, she went to prison. So naturally, she was gone away during the time of the check incident. She was supposed to pick up an ounce of heroin for one of the guys that was also from Detroit and bring it back to Lexington and smuggle it in. When she got to Petoskey Hall, she had made her move and she had the ounce with her. She came with Aaron. She was home for 5 days on a furlough, and Aaron was, as usual, always there. Only now he was shadowing her for the drugs or whatever else she was down for. You know, remember, she had been locked up, and women come home with the same feelings as men do. So I'm sure the drugs wasn't it, all of it. But when she saw me, she was visibly shaken. She arranged to have me taken home with her for the weekend, and although she understandably didn't want to be cooped up with me all in the house for her whole furlough with my broken up ass, she was still with me way more than I expected, and I appreciated it. That was my girl. She was a real stand-up guy. When it was time for her to go back, she came to the Petoskey Hall, left me some of the dope from Dude's package, and told me she had a friend named Sheila who was coming home for good in a month, and she would send her by there to look out for me. Weeks later, I'm able to get out of the bed on my own and get into the wheelchair, and now I'm all over the nursing home, and this was a really pretty big nursing home. I'm flirting with the young nursing attendants. A couple of them used to hang out in my room on the afternoon shift, and one on the midnight shift there was bringing me snacks and fast food, radio batteries, and weed. The one on the midnight shift actually even helped the brother out in a much more personal way too. KT was also a regular visit. He would come and put me over his shoulder because he's a big guy. Carry me to the car, carry me to the movies, fishing, or just take me for a ride. I still talk to him periodically. I still got love for that guy, but our paths has gone way distant by time and circumstances. But if I parachute in the middle of the desert and see him, it's always going to be me and him against the world. I got his back, and I know he's going to always have mine. And that's a 180-degree difference from the way I feel about his brother, Aaron. Eventually, the nursing home got a little tired of my antics. They packed my stuff in the garbage bag, got me dressed, pushed my chair out to the parking lot gate, put the bags in my lap, and told me I'd be better off at home, and I'd have to get there the best way I could. Well, time passed pretty much uneventfully until the cast came off, and for a few weeks, and I was relatively ambulant again. And my ability to move, and with my ability to move around again, I was itching to get into something. I had bought a car, and me and Aaron were back on the job. we started hitting licks again, but I had to be real careful about where and what I hit. I didn't want to have to take a chance on having to get away too quickly. I still wasn't 100%, but we did all right. I had heard that Sheila was working in a club called the Brick House on 7 Mile off of Woodward. The Brick House was appropriate for her because that's exactly what she was. I still hadn't met her. She never showed up, but she had gotten word to me to me where to find her. Word was getting around that I was back and I was making moves. But as always, I had to keep some people on the no-touch list. I mean, I gotta have somewhere to cop. I gotta have it. Plus, there were some people that principal wouldn't allow me to touch. One of these people was the guy that Sheila was now hooked up with. And he had a decent blow. Aaron and me go to his spot and cop on New Year's Day. I knew, as I said, that he and Sheila were kicking it, and I still had never seen her in person, only a picture of her, Janice, that sent me while they were locked up. Now, mind you, this guy knows I'm back on the set, and he also knows that I run up in a few joints. What he doesn't know for sure is that I've got him on my no-go list. We know each other, but he's still not sure. It's a small bachelor apartment with a sofa bed that's already let out in the middle of the room with a bathroom. When Aaron and me come in, I see a girl laying in the bed under a blanket, asleep. I thought, I know it's Sheila. I want to get a good look at her, so I purposely talked loudly and bumped the bed as I passed by, as if I had lost my balance because I was on a cane that night. But she don't move. Now I know something's fishy. In the beginning, he has me positioned in the room so that I'm on the side of the bed so as to be in her line of vision. There's a big mirror behind me. During the conversation, I caught him slipping and maneuvered myself on the other side of the bed behind Sheila. I glanced at the mirror and I saw her eyes open as she followed me when I went behind her and closed when she saw that I had noticed it. We cop and we leave. A couple hours later, when Aaron had left, I called back and tell him, I need to see you again, man. He says, come on. I grab my .380 automatic, jump in the car, and shoot over there. When I get there, it's the exact same setup. I engaged in conversation again to throw him off, and it was really pretty easy to throw him off. Once I did, I stepped to the other side of the bed again, and I flashed the .380 and said, what you nervous about, man? I didn't come here for no drama. I said, if I had, you'd be had by now. Tell your girl to relax. I put the .380 back in my waist and sat down, and wonder of wonders, she came alive. The blanket comes off, and she sits up smiling and reveals a sawed-off shotgun. We all laugh. I say, I knew something was up, man. I ain't just walked out here yesterday. They laughed and said, it was nothing personal, Red. We was just told to watch you. I go into the bathroom to handle my business. Without a knock, Sheila opens the door and comes in and closes it. Goes to the medicine cabinet, grabs her eyeliner and shit, leans over the sink and starts to make up her face. Now, it's usually pretty easy for me to get a hit because I got what they used to call ropes. But with her bending over the sink like that, I must have put 20 holes in my arm before I got a hit. Because really, she was something to look at. We talked. She slipped me her mother's number and said she wasn't there a lot, but keep trying till I caught her. I finished. She finished. I left, and she left out. I left out of the bathroom, and left. It was a few months later in the summer before I actually got to see her again. By now, all four of them were home: Janice, Janetta, Foxy, and Sheila. It was kind of strange because Janice was tighter with Sheila. Sheila was tight with all three of them, and Foxy seemed to either be by choice or whatever, always on the outside. Me and Janice never did get back as close as we had once been on a man-to-woman tip, But we had two daughters, so we always saw each other because as I always came to see my kids anyway. But we were extremely close friends. We were trying to see if we could get back to that old thing, get that old thing back, but too much time and too much shit had happened, so it just wasn't to be. One afternoon, I was in the area of Janetta's house where Sheila was now staying. Sheila and I had become really close friends, really cool friends, I should say. I had started a few months before this with my money order hustle. Janice, Sheila, and Sheila's guy that she was kicking it with would ride 2 or 3 times a week and make money. I could tell she was extremely impressed with the amount of money that I was making and the ease at which I made it. We would hit the suburbs. I would average 3 to 5 $250 money orders a day. It was really just depending upon how I felt. When we went to the hotels and motels, jewelry shops, department stores, wherever I chose to bust them, Sheila would always go in with me. To be honest, and not to take anything away from my baby Janice, but Sheila was just a little better fit for playing the couple role. She had a natural affinity for the stuff game, although she didn't know it. Sometimes when we would be working the hotel motel, we would act as though we wanted to view the room, or after getting the change, we would act as if we were actually going into the room, playing it off. When we were in the room alone, she would always try and entice me. I wouldn't do anything with her without Janice's knowledge, and I knew from the way me and Janice were, she really would have been okay with it. But I'm sure her guy, Sheila's guy, wouldn't have been okay with it. And I was really cool with him being the driver. So I would just laugh it off and decline, telling her, you better ask Janice about that, which for some reason she didn't want to do. I didn't want to blow the ride, which was going to cost me money, and I didn't want to have to deal with this damn fool about his woman and some pussy. But a couple of times, the way she was dressed, she made it real hard with her pretty ass. Well, on this particular day, Janice and I had a real falling out. They were coming more and more frequently. But this time, I was through. She didn't know it and thought we'd just make up again. But I wasn't having it this time. I was looking to get high and have somebody to talk to, so I stopped there to see Janetta and Sheila. Janetta was just about to leave with her dude. She said Sheila was upstairs in the tub. Janetta's kids were running all over the house, and I couldn't do my thing with them, so I went upstairs and called through the door to tell Sheila I would be sitting in her bedroom. I had to tell her a couple times because for some reason she couldn't hear me. Bullshit. She said, open the door. I did, and damn, there she was, sitting in the tub in one of those provocative positions, and I was stuck. I told her, again, I'm going to be sitting in your room when you come out. She said, okay, what the fuck you keep standing there for? I turned and left out laughing. I was sitting in the room when she got out of the tub, wrapped in a towel. She came in and said, now don't you start no shit. Unwrapped the towel, lotioned up, and she took her time doing it. Took her, put on her panties and bra, and again, took her time dressing. I was done. We left there on the way to the motel. Checkout time the next morning, we were worn out, up most of the night, getting high and doing the thing. We caught a cab back to Janetta's house. She suggested I lay in the bed with her and get some rest, and I did. I don't have any idea how long we had laid there asleep, but the door suddenly slammed open. It was Janice. But like I said, I was through. I rolled over, but Sheila panicked, jumped up out of bed naked, snatched the sheet off me naked, and told me to get up and get out. I don't know what she thought she was trying to prove. But making a long story short, we had started off as friends. We got to know each other pretty damn good. We were equally attracted to each other, and we genuinely liked each other. So it wasn't going to stop there, and it didn't. For the next few weeks, we were damn near inseparable. She still rode with me when I was on the money order gig. We had found a different driver, and we started looking for an apartment together. I don't mind admitting this, but I was severely smitten. Both of us were. We had a couple of rough spots where either of us could have walked away and explored other options, but we didn't. Silently, we had committed. As I mentioned in the chapter, New York, New York, the Naked City, when KT and me got popped in Newark at the Newark International Airport, I had ducked the Port Authority police that were on my tail long enough to stuff 5 money orders behind a mirror in the restroom. I had a couple of money orders that I hadn't cashed this day on me, on the day that Sheila and I were together, I had a couple of money orders on me that I hadn't cashed, but I had also made another slip up. I had pulled a stick up on a spur of the moment. The opportunity was just appeared, and I took it. At this time, I'm working alone, and Aaron is for the first and only time was working a job and was doing his own thing. Since he was making money, he wasn't around me that much. The problem was, I didn't think this stick up all the way through. This lick was way too close to home. I thought if it might be prudent for me to disappear for a while. Normally, I would just let the cards fall where they fell. But I didn't want to put Sheila in harm's way, and we were together way too much for me to take that chance. So we decided to take a trip. She had never been to New York or later on Chicago, so I decided this was as good a time as any, and I could also check on those money orders I left out there at the Newark airport. So off we went. Now obviously, I'm not a woman, at least it should be obvious, I hope. But what I'm getting ready to tell you is something only a woman could know if it was true or possible or not. But when we did the math months later, it was actually right on point. This is what I'm talking about. I'm just going to be brutally honest about something. Sheila was as freaky as me. And we both had a little exhibitionist in us. I took her sightseeing all around New York City, Hoboken, New Jersey, and Jersey City. The last two really didn't have much to look at. They just had good views of the New York skyline. Everywhere of any importance that we went, and I mean everywhere, we did something. And man, I mean to tell you, man, this was exciting as hell, too. The Penobscot building in downtown Detroit is actually a smaller replica of the Empire State Building. If you've been in either one of them, you know that you have to switch elevators a couple of times to get to the top. At the top of the Empire State Building, there's an observation deck with telescopes. We were on our way up on an express elevator that wasn't going to stop for the next 40 floors. And we were on the elevator alone. So, yeah, we did. Quick, too. Real quick. and on the way up, we did too quick on the way up. And when we got to the top, we hurried up and pushed the down button before anybody else could get on and did the same thing on the way down before we came back up and actually went to the observation desk. Later on that evening, as we were out eating, she said, you know what? You got me pregnant. I just know she's bullshitting, but she wasn't. She actually knew right then. Only a woman can answer that question. The math confirmed it for a few months later when my baby girl Ebony was born. I was now responsible for a family. I had never gotten the opportunity to have a family with Janice and my other 2 daughters. And we tried. But we were young. And the obstacles were too formidable for us to get to actually do it. Fighting with her family, me literally fighting with them, being shot at, having the police called on me, them shipping her and the baby down south to get them away from me. It was just too much stuff going on, so we just gave in and let it be the way it was. I was determined this time, though, to take care of this baby and keep her close to me. And I did. Until, again, Aaron comes into the picture. Now, it's not his fault. I gotta say that. I made my own decisions. But I'll let you judge these facts for yourself. Aaron had lost his job. He was now coming around again a lot. I had tried working. I had even tried working a job to support Sheila and Ebony. But one of my shortcomings is I've never been able to hold a job. Never. So Aaron and I are back on the bricks, and Sheila hated it, and she didn't care too much for Aaron either. Sheila, the baby, and myself moved into a two-family flat on Stoughton between Fullerton and Buena Vista, the same house I lived in with my mother, and the same house that Bobby lived in upstairs over my mother and myself, along with my little sister / cousin Alila and my uncle, Eki D. Me and Aaron had been hitting licks like mad. The money was good, it was regular, and I didn't even take time out to work the money orders. But looking back, I should have. He had been hanging with this cat named Sweets, who was now Janetta's boyfriend. Sweets was a bank robber, and he had been trying to entice Aaron to go with him to the manufacturer's bank that used to be on 8 Mile and Northland Drive. But Aaron wouldn't work with Sweets unless I went, and I wouldn't work with Sweets because I didn't know him. And for that kind of job, you need to know if you can depend on the guy who sees what you don't see and how he's going to respond to it. And I didn't know him like that. It was Christmas Eve morning. Sheila, my baby, Ebony, and myself were all sleeping together. The phone rang early that morning. It was Aaron. "Look outside," he says. I look out. There was what was considered to be a historical blizzard as far as Detroit's weather was concerned. Aaron say, "It's a perfect day, man. Perfect day." I tell him I'll go look at it, but I ain't promising nothing. I go pick him up. We go to Janetta's house to meet Sweets. I tell them I'm not going in the vault and I'm not jumping the counter. I'm holding the gun and I'm staying in the lobby for crowd control. If y'all take me, there's 2 things you're going to have to understand. When I say it's time, it's time. Bring your motherfucking ass on. But more important, if the shit gets tight, don't bitch out on me because I'm doing whatever I have to do to get the fuck out of there. That's why I'm insisting that I keep the gun. We saw off the shotgun. I strap it across my right shoulder, grab a pocket full of shotgun shells, and told him, "Okay, let's go." 8 Mile and Northland Drive is now a huge parking lot, a huge empty lot. But at that time, there were a lot of businesses there and a manufacturer's bank. There were 2 driveways into the parking lot that held the bank. We pulled in and parked. I shut off the car, made them be quiet, and I said a prayer. I asked God to please make us successful and not for anyone to get hurt or killed, especially not from my hands if it wasn't necessary. My heart was pumping times 5, but strangely, it felt good. Almost like being high, maybe better. I told myself, okay, now it's time to shit and get off the pot. Stay in the car, I tell them. Count to 30, then come in. By that time, I'll have control. If I come out before you get to 30, y'all can still go on and do it, but you'll be doing it without me. When I walk in, to my right is the counter with deposit slips. Standing there, leaning with his back against the counter, is the guard. Now on the other side of him is a lady sitting at the desk, I guess a manager or something. And to my left are the tellers and a large lobby full of people in line. I turn and act as if I'm going to fill out a deposit slip. I've got a glove on my left hand so as not to leave prints. My right hand is naked because the only thing I plan to touch with it is my shotgun. I can see the car in the parking lot out of the window where I'm standing. I see them getting out of the car and heading towards the bank door. I say to the guard who's still standing not 2 feet from me, I say, "Good morning." He says, "Good morning, how are you?" I tell him I'm fine, and you will be too, if you just very quietly hand me that pistol. And I mean quietly. With my back to the crowd and him blocking the view of the lady at the desk, nobody saw me point that sawed off at him. Plus, at this time, it was still partially concealed under my parka, ski parka, and I had the hood on to block the view from the cameras. He unbuckled his holster, but I took the gun out myself. 3 or 4 seconds later, they hit the door. I turned and announced, "Nobody move. This is a stick-up. We don't want your money, so just be still, and we'll be gone in a minute." And we were. As we pulled out of the driveway, the Southfield police were pulling in the other driveway. Because of the blizzard, I guess they either didn't notice us or just didn't know that we were the ones they were coming to look for. That was really close. When I get home, Sheila is furious for about 10 seconds. I guess Janetta had called her and told her after the 3 of us left what we were going to do, because I hadn't woken her up. But she calmed right down when she saw that money, and cha-ching, her hands flew out like cash register drawer. We, they, Ebony, Sheila, Marcella, Jamila, all had a good Christmas that year. Although even at that time, I was somewhat conscious of the fact that Christmas was bullshit. I just didn't have all my facts together yet. Once again, in relationship to the next chain of events, I'll leave you to gather your own opinions. So now, we go back to Aaron. Aaron and Sweets didn't stop. It got good to them. They hit a few more banks, but they did it without me. I was on a solo tip. One night, Aaron comes to my house on jam with a brand new car, diamond ring and watch, and his pockets on fleek. He's got 3 bottles of Wild Irish Rose. Me and Sheila used to love that shit. And we all did a blow, smoked some good weed, and he hands me 5 $100 bills. As much fun as we were having, well, at least me and Sheila were having fun, he seemed to be really troubled. He said, "Red, I need to talk to you." One of the things I loved about Sheila is that she always knew her position. She never tried to interfere or eavesdrop on my business. She took the baby and her wine and disappeared into the bedroom and watched TV. Aaron pulls out a newspaper. There's a picture of him, plain as day, in the bank on Christmas Eve, wanted, armed bank robbery, $10,000 reward. Upon seeing that shit, just stopped being fun for me too. I said, "Man, you got money, you got a car, why don't you leave? Somebody's gonna see this and collect on your ass." He said, "Red, I got a couple more moves I got to make in a couple days." He said, "But I'm gonna be real still till then. When I do make these moves, me and you going to Miami, pick up a couple keys. I'm gonna leave them here with you. You handle it and just keep me on my feet while I'm gone. I'm gonna always keep you posted where I'm at." And he leaves. A couple of hours later, Sweets calls. "Have you seen Aaron?" he asks. Earlier, I tell him. He hangs up. It's about 8 p.m. About 10 p.m., he calls again. Same question. I give him the same answer. He hangs up. I'm resting, thinking about what Aaron had told me, feeling really uneasy, and Sheila and the baby are trying to play with me. I'm enjoying them so much, I started to relax, but he calls again, snapping me out of my reality, snapping me back to reality. Now I'm pissed. I really don't like this guy. And there were a number of things that had happened since the robbery that caused me not to trust him. So I snapped. "Don't call here no motherfucking phone for him, man. He don't live here and I ain't no detective. Find him your motherfucking self." He hangs up. I'm starting to feel real funny about these phone calls and the way he just keeps hanging up without saying anything else. But I didn't have time to feel funny about him for long, because the next phone call I got dropped a real bomb. It was from Aaron. These are his exact words. "Make your own judgment. Red, they got me. What? I said, they got me. Who got you? I'm down in 1300 Bobby and they got me for the bank robbery on Christmas Eve. And they know about you. I hung the phone up immediately. They know about me? What the fuck they know about me? They didn't have no picture of me. I ain't left no prints. I sold the car the day after the robbery and I used bold plates anyway. So how the fuck could they know anything about me? I called Janetta to ask to speak to Sweets, but she ain't heard from him. I go tell Sheila. From the look in her eyes, I could tell she realized as much as I did that this beautiful thing we had and this family we had planned on was over. I felt completely drained and empty. And that emptiness turned into a heartache when I looked over and saw my baby, Ebony, laying there asleep. I'm sure that most fathers of daughters have the same feeling about the closeness to them and their daughters, and I'm no different. But I know for a fact that this baby and me shared a very special, extraordinary bond. And that bond is what saved me from being arrested the next morning or possibly killed. I used to call her Daddy's Face, or Face for short, because she looked so much like me. She was a very happy baby who seldom cried. But on those occasions when she may have hurt herself or gotten mad or been scared or just felt evil like babies get sometimes, if Sheila couldn't comfort her or calm her down, she'd say, "Would you come get her?" I'd pick her up. She'd wrap around me like babies do, and I'd tell her, "Daddy got that face. Daddy got it." And she'd stop crying, point her finger in the air at something, and say, "She dada." Not see, but she dada. Another habit she had, she would climb out of bed when she slept with us and roam through the house playing with her toys until Sheila got up to fix her breakfast. If I didn't get up with him, she'd run down the hall to the room. I'd cover my head and play sleep. She'd lift the cover, peek in, and say in that little baby voice, "Hi, D." Not Dada, but "Hi, D." Used to tickle the fuck out of me. I would wait for it and look forward to it. Well, it was that one that saved my ass that next morning. She was up roaming and playing. I guess she got hungry and neither one of us had gotten up yet. So she ran down the hall, peeked under the cover and said, "Hi, D," which caused Sheila to get up. Walking to the kitchen, she glanced out the front window, turned around and ran back to the room and said, "Baby, get up. They're everywhere." She's clutching the baby, fear and panic on her face. Ebony even seems to realize something or sense that something is wrong. They're beating on the front door. "FBI, open the door." Sheila goes to the door and hollers, "What the fuck do you want? I didn't call you motherfuckers." They said, "We're looking for Red and we know he lives here." She said, "He ain't home." The agent said, "Open the door so we can look." She said, "The only thing you're going to look for is a lawsuit if you don't get the fuck off my porch unless you got a warrant." That's my baby. She was a real trooper, boy. The agent said, "Okay, we'll be back." She said, "Okay, I'll see you then." The life and the family life that I had never really had, that I was enjoying so much and so desperately wanted to keep, it just came to an abrupt end. Up until that point in my life, the most painful feeling I could ever recall was finding out that my mother had died. But the look on Ebony's little face as I left when the smoke cleared still haunts me to this day. And it would be 3 years before I saw her again.